You know, there's always something interesting when you drop by Kiwi's Clam Bakes and Convulsions.
It's a clam bake today, yeah.
It is
no
a clam
convulsions, just clam bake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's true. It's true.
Interesting stuff like this Fastback Cougar.
Yep, they just came back in today. It's been set in storage for, oh gosh, probably 18 months. And got a little damp, unfortunately. So we got a little bit of work to do to get it back to shiny bare metal. But
well, newer viewers don't know about this car.
Well, that's true, yeah.
So just give them a quick rundown on this.
It's a 67 Cougar. What we did was grafted a 69 Fastback Mustang roof onto it. And
it looks like it grew there. It's perfect.
It does look like it was done at the factory. We cut the roof through about here. This is the original Cougar shape here, and then joined it through here.
This was a fancy bit of metal work. I remember that.
That was some work.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can kind of see inside where we done it. You know, like had to make panels inside there.
Seriously, look at the detail work he's got going on in here. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the bead rolls in there to give it some strength. We brought the wheel tubs in 3 inches, so we've got room for some nice big tyres on it now. But yeah, I say she just arrived this morning. It's got the Mustang deck lid on it, and that took a lot of work to make it actually work with the back of the Cougar. Which, you know, we'll do a little bit more detail on my channel and show some of the processes that we went through to get this. Like the back of this deck lid is normally dead straight on a Mustang, but the back of a Cougar is round when you look along the bumper. So we had to cut it like right across here and bow it out and bring it out about an inch.
Yeah,
here,
it's crazy.
just so that it all flows together.
But it's subtle. It's you've done such beautiful, subtle.
Yeah, I don't want it to look like it's a Cougar that someone stuck a Mustang roof on it. I want it to look like a Fastback Cougar. And I think we've nailed it, really, I think.
So you're going to cover the rest of this on your channel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kiwi
Classics and Customs.
Oh, that's what it is.
That's what it is,
okay.
Yeah.
So the reason we came here is because you've got this T-Bird inside.
Yes, we've got a gorgeous T-Bird in there.
And anytime you want to find a dual quad Ford, you just come by Kiwi. There's always at least 1 or 2 dual quad Fords here.
Yeah.
But that thing, I wanted to show that because it's like the jackpot of early Ford weirdness, all in one package.
Yeah.
You know, but it's beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, they were kind of, when you look at it, it's like these guys were going through a learning curve.
Yeah, they were.
You know, and there was a little bit of experimentation.
They were marching to the beat of their own.
Yeah, they were, and that does make it cool.
But when you look at some of the stuff they did, you wonder, okay, they're marching to the beat of their own drummer, but did they actually hear the music? You see what I'm saying? Well, let's go look at this.
Sure.
So this is like a 99-point restoration.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. It's beautiful. Like we've had it up on the rack. It's just as clean underneath as it is what you see here. Yeah. It actually appears to have been a rust-free car when they started the restoration.
And they really went nuts. I mean, all of the stamps and everything are right.
The more you look, the more you see. Like it's got the correct radiator hoses on it. It's got the correct voltage regulator. You know, and like they've rewired it, and it's all the correct plugs on the wiring here. You know, which were a bit prone to water intrusion compared to the modern wiring harness, but that is what it's meant to have, and it's completely authentic. It's got all the little decals on the air cleaner, on the heater box. There's really just nothing that's been shortcut. Nothing at all.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It's really, really weird.
It's
so, I'll tell you what, let's go with the minor weirdnesses first.
Right.
The brake booster.
Yep, the brake booster. They were drum brakes all round, so they didn't stop well. There wasn't room here for a master cylinder with a booster in the conventional sense that we're used to. So it runs an inline brake booster. So you've got a master cylinder that, you've got a line running, hydraulic line running up to here. There's another cylinder in here, which is, helped by the vacuum booster there, and that sends the pressure out the line and out to all 4 corners. and that way they could do it remotely. It didn't have to be between the firewall and the master.
Now, have you seen any other applications with the remote booster like that?
Pretty rare.
I haven't. That's the only one that
I have seen it. We used to use them in the rallying days. We would, like in the very early years when we were running on super tight budgets, that was a good way to amp up your rear brakes. We put those on the rear brakes to give you more rear brakes on the dirt to help you turn the car in and get it sliding. So that was a little trick we used to do back in the day. That's where I've seen it before. But really on the American cars, no, you just don't see it. You see some weird boosters here, like some of the... I've got a Buick down the back that's got a weird brake booster that's about 8 inches in diameter, but it's about 12 inches long. It's a weird thing. So there was some weirdness going on back in the 50s.
With the Y block, see the front... Let me come around that side. So, but the younger guys have never seen this. This is a Ford, what's called a Ford Y block. So this is the engine that Ford used to replace the flathead on the Ford line of cars. Mercury already had an overhead. There were lots of overhead valve Ford products at that time, but the bread and butter engine in 1953 was still the flathead. So the Y block was the one that they introduced to replace that. The first incarnation was 239 cubic inches, the same as the flathead. But this engine has got so many unique features that are just unlike any other engine and unlike any other Ford. Here, pop the... So the first bit of weirdness that hits you here...
Well, it hits you in the face.
Hits you right in the face. It's like, what the hell are those things? Well, those are Ford Holley Teapot carbs. Now, you remember, all of the Holley carburetors we know today basically evolved from Ford design carburetors or carburetors that Holley designed for Ford. And the Teapot was the first of the floor barrels. So what these are downdraft carburetors. So usually the float bowl's on the side, and your boosters and everything, all your metering is on the side. Well, this is downdraft, so all of the metering is done up top over here. And then in an odd twist of Fordness, now we know that on the FE engines, they turn the carburetors backwards to clear the distributor that's up front. But the distributor on a Y block is in the back, which is like another Ford weirdness. At least weird for Ford, I should say. So for no real obvious reason, these carburetors are also backwards. These are the choke plates right here. So this is the primary side, and this is the secondary side. They didn't last long. They're very small carburetors. They didn't really have much life past this, like 1957, 58.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah,
they started in like around 53 or 4, when these overhead valve ones first came out. I did a 53 Lincoln that had a Teapot carburetor on it. So the Teapot is kind of a neat nickname, but that's supposedly how their appearance, and they got nicknamed the Teapot carburetor.
Yeah, they're also known for starting a lot of fires.
Yes, yeah, that was the other infamous
for starting a lot of fires. I hope this one doesn't see that.
Well, I mean, they're in good condition. Someone's, it's got all the right. Everything's correct on them. Every linkage is right. Every union, every bit of fuel line, everything's exactly as it should be. So,
but the Holley carburetors that we know today evolved alongside these on the other Ford models, and especially on the FE, the
332. Yeah,
it was the first of the modern style Holley carburetor one we know today. But those are the ancestors of the Holley carburetors. Now, the Y block itself is an interesting motor. It's called the Y block because it has a deep skirt design. The FE copied this, or I should say the FE was the larger version of this. But this also has shaft-mounted rockers, the same way the FE does. And both these engines, the Y block and the FE, can be considered to be the inspiration behind the Big Block Chrysler, which was introduced in 1858. And incorporates a lot of the same features that both the Y block and the FE does. But there's another real hyper weirdness with the Y block that most people aren't aware of. That's it. The intake manifold runners. Now, usually, you're used to seeing, if you take the intake manifold off and you're looking at the cylinder heads, you're used to seeing the ports Siamese to each other, next to each other like this. Not on a Y block. Nope. Ford placed them one on top of the other. Just kind of like, have you ever seen one of them Offenhauser, the split runner Offenhauser manifolds?
Right, yep.
Similar to that. But yeah, the ports are one on top of each other instead of next to each other. Because back in the day, Ford engineers just absolutely refused to have a normal intake manifold. There's just no way, no how we're going to do this. So they went from this to the FE design that has the valve cover, half covering the intake and half covering the cylinder head. But lots of weirdnesses to these engines. But they were good engines. They were loose, very agricultural sort of motors.
They put them in a lot of trucks.
A lot of trucks.
A lot of trucks.
Very versatile motor. Very, it was a good package. It was a good overall package. But like I said, very weird and very unique. And those valve covers are just gorgeous.
Yeah. Yep.
So, what else can you think of off the top of your head that's different on these?
Well, you've got a cable-driven tach, which is
nice.
Didn't see on too many vehicles.
No.
And I mean that distributor just looks like a Chrysler, doesn't it? Like the way it's laid over like that.
It's like a backwards Chrysler.
Yeah. I mean it's factory power steering, which was not common in the mid-50s.
Yeah, this was.
But even that, it's an unusual looking pump. Like everything's different on this. You've got a reservoir that looks relatively normal, but like the pump section's like way off that way.
And I like the way they tucked the generator that way.
Right.
That's actually really nice packaging.
Yeah, it is.
And a really long timing cover and water pump setup.
They did have a little bit of issues with overheating at idle. Can't remember quite what it was, but there's a spacer. There's a little spacer here between the water pump and the block.
Right.
And you can buy an aftermarket one of these spacers, and there's a little kind of gallery in there, like a flow that ramps the water.
Right.
And they've modified that, and that apparently helps them to idle a lot cooler.
Okay.
But this is as it was.
Now, what's this car here for now?
It's got a water leak in the radiator. Looks like it's a brand new radiator, but it's leaking. So we've got another one of those coming because nobody really fixes them anymore today.
Yeah, it's hard to find them, but I do it right.
Yeah. There's a company not far. No, there's a company not that half an hour away from here. But we've had a couple of radiators repaired by them, and they both failed. So it's like, there's a little bit of work at changing that. And of course, you've got to be super careful. You can't just drag it out. Like it's not some old beater that you can just rattle it out of the hole. You've got to
Well, see, that's why you get paid the big bucks. The finesse.
Yeah, you've got to take your time. So it's like $1,000 radiator because it's copper brass. You can get an aluminum one, which some people perceive that as being better, an upgrade, but it's really not. They're like $400 for an aluminum one, but this being the car that it is, so original, going back with the correct radiator.
What's that thing back for?
Oh, the Cobra, that's it's got an electric water pump on it, and that's failed. So
of course,
it was kind of coming and going. It would get hot, and then it would cool off and get hot, and the water pump was just going sometimes, not others, just on its way out. So we got to get one of those coming, and other than that thing's going pretty good.
So when are you going to start on that Cougar again? Because I know there's a lot of people going to be interested in that.
Yeah, any day now. If it's here, it's pretty much it's getting worked on. So yeah, we've obviously there's other cars to do, but yeah, we'll be jumping on that, getting the rust off it, and continuing on with the bodywork. So.
And dude, you just hit like 10,000 subs.
I did.
10,000 subs,
which is pretty cool.
That's pretty amazing.
That's pretty cool.
We got to get you to 100.
Yeah.
You got to subscribe to. You guys got to subscribe to his. What the hell's the name of your channel?
Kiwi Classics and Customs.
Go subscribe to that and watch all of this stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, we're having some fun here. That black fastback which a few people have been asking about. That's
that thing. Oh no, not another dual quad Ford.
Another dual quad Ford. I mean, same engine pretty much as the Cougar up on the rack, except this is a cast iron block and cast iron heads. But this one, a lot of you guys will have seen this one. It's kind of back in the rotation now. We've caught up on some other cars. This week we got the transmission tunnel all wrapped up, and we got that moved back. We got the transmission cross member in, so it's mounted completely in its resting place.
Yeah, we covered this before. This is the one that the mounts ripped off the
the steering rack was held on with hose clamps and stuff like that. So yeah, we're getting there on this one. The firewall's done. Most of the sheet metal, well, pretty much all the sheet metal's done now. We've got to modify the headers, because if you try and put them on now, they'll be like inside the cab. So we've got to cut a couple of the primaries off and reroute them.
More stuff you'll be covering on.
Yeah, that'll be. That's we've got about enough to put another video out on this now. I've just got to stitch it together and post it. In my spare time.
Well, do that, because we always need to steal content.
Well, that's right.
It's important.
Yeah.
I ran out of content in when was it? It was
1983.
August. No, I ran out of content August 2021.
21.
So we've been faking it ever since, and you've been a great contributor to keeping the charade going.
It's all good. It's all good.
All right, go sub to his thing.
Yeah,
and
come take a look. We got lots happening. Lots of new stuff coming in. We got another couple of fastbacks coming in that are getting coyote swaps. The Cougar's getting a coyote swap. So we're going to know all about coyotes before long.
This is it.
Yes.
All right, guys.
Alrighty.
We're going to cut out.
Okay.
I'll see you tomorrow.
See you guys.